All right, guys, we're back at it. The other night, you guys snuck on here without me. I don't know how that happened. I just turned it on in the middle of it. I saw you guys were in here chatting. I'm like, Molina Mike didn't even tell me. And then he makes a crack about Mike Panozzo being better looking. It's terrible.
What do you think?
So, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. We already got a handful of people in here. Do us a favor. Let us know if you can see us and hear us well. And we want to make sure you guys get all of this content. We got a little bit of current events here today. Big event kicking off up with the ladies. So, Molina, why don't you go ahead and start us off what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a big event going on, I believe, in Minnesota, WPBA event. A little bit of controversy leading up to it. So we wanted to come on here and discuss it some. And, I was able to go and share a post the other day or yesterday, I think it was, about it. And we decided to go and reach out to the WPBA, and we were able to go and get on a pretty awesome guest, boys.
Yeah, let's bring her in. Lori John. How's it going, Lori John?
Very good. How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for joining. So, so you're getting ready to do a pro-am, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for taking a few
minutes. We just flew in. It's, Bemidji, Minnesota is like where? Or Bemidji. I don't even know how to say it. It's lovely here, though.
It's 5 minutes from forever.
Yeah.
They couldn't do Minnesota in August, huh?
No, never. Dean likes to torture us.
So, Mike, you were able to get Lori John for this. Do you have any questions for her?
Which Mike?
You.
Okay. Well, let's set the scene here. I mean, the reason we're on here is that one of the players, and I know we can't talk directly to you about the player, Lori John, but a player posted that she wasn't signing the WPBA contract because it was going to limit her ability to make money as a professional pool player. And it caught a lot of sympathy. I call them martyr posts when they go on Facebook, and everybody who's their friend chimes in and says, "Oh, everybody's against you or against pool, and pros have a reason to make a living and whatever." So this player is not playing the event because, and it's April Larson, she's not playing the event because she didn't want to sign the WPBA agreement. So I would like to ask you, not about any specific player, but tell me what the WPBA agreement says and stipulates to players who are in the top 16 of various rankings.
Okay, so I'm going to take you back a couple years. Okay, I have been on the board. This is my 4th year serving. When I first came on, there was a breakup of the WPBA. There was another organization that came out, and you have to understand where I'm coming from, guys. I'm old, okay? I've been around like pretty much since the WPBA has been in existence. So I'm going to fight for an organization that I believe in. I'm not going to be like the men. We're not going to not have an organization and have anybody play in whatever they want, okay? Here's the difference, and listen very carefully. I'm going to say this once. The women do not have the ability to make the kind of money that the men do. Men can, they invite Sky or whoever to a $2,500 tournament. All the men play in that tournament. It's all over Facebook, but they still have Matchroom and they still have bigger tournaments to play in, okay? The women have had no events for a long time. And I fought for the WPBA and for hanging in there and let's get us back to where we used to be. So at the end of last year, I was very excited because I talked with Karim with Predator, and I knew how many events that we had. And at that time, I made a public statement to all the WPBA members. I said, guys, all the people who hated me and was mad at me and, and not me personally, but the WPBA, they were mad because we stopped. We told them you have to make a choice. You either play on our tour or you play on the other tour. It's not a big deal. And if, you just can't have your cake and eat it too at this point because it'll kill both organizations. The WPBA continued to go on. So at the end of last year, I made a statement. I said, 2022, thank you for hanging in with us. Thank you, girls, for arguing, but yet hanging in. Maybe you disagreed with me. That's fine. But you hung in there with us. And and because of that, we had a promoter who called and said, we want to be sanctioned. I don't know how the wording was in the beginning, but we want to get together with the only professional women's association in North America. That was a great feeling. The tournaments went from 2 tournaments to 4 tournaments. We now have 10 tournaments this year. Now, with that being said, at the end of last year, I made that statement in the fall. All the girls were there. They could have asked questions. They could have called. They could have said what's going on with it. We have 10 tournaments this year. You got to make your decisions. You cannot call yourself a pro in any other sport. I don't care about, I'm sorry. I've lived it. I've lived the tough life. I've lived a life where if I was a 8-time world champion, if I was in Hall of Fame, I'd be a multi-millionaire today. I love pool. I love pool. Pool has given me the ability to travel, to do what I need to do. And that's the sport that I chose. So I'm in the same boat as everybody has been. And I get it. And I get the you want to play in certain tournaments, but you cannot play. Yes, I am. You cannot play. I'm reading. She's not answering the question. You cannot play in an amateur event as a top 16 player and then call yourself a professional. You want to be invited to world tournaments through the WPA, and you're going to play in a $25, entry fee tournament. Play in the open tournaments. Play in the open tournaments. You can play in all of the open tournaments that you want. You cannot play in a regional tournament as a top player, period. I'm a Hall of Famer. I can never do it. If I'm going to play on the WPBA tour, I can do whatever I want when I'm done with the WPBA, but I can't. So, and I see some of the comments and whatnot. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is we have 10 tournaments this year. We have one sponsor that is putting in $150,000 or $160,000 to 4 events. And that is because we stuck together. And that's just it. We have an organization. The men, you can comment all you want, guys. I'm sorry. You guys do not have an organization. You have not had an organization in a million years. And the guys can do whatever they want to do. And it's not going to hurt them. It is very difficult for me to be on the WPBA. And just trust me, I didn't know this until I got on the board. I was completely the other way. Then when I got on the board and I started asking for, I started going like, Dean, we're going to casinos and different places asking for $40,000 added, right? And then one of the guys was like, well, I was, like they're pool players too. They like pool. And they said, well, what happens, this tournament only added like $2,500, $3,000 and 5 of the top players were there. Well, why should they give us $40,000? We're not in the same boat, guys, as the men. And that's just a fact. It's an unfortunate fact, but it's a fact. So if I was strangling players saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. Last year, they were able to do what they needed to do because we had one tournament. But we're back to having our tournaments. And yeah, you're right, David. I hope I'm friends with you on Facebook. I'll probably unfriend you. But anyway, it's not a dictatorship. It's just not. That's all I'm going to say. It has nothing to do with a person. It has nothing. Everybody had their choice to sign or to not sign. The people who didn't sign, they're not going to play this year. I don't know what to tell you. You have to make an adult decision. We're all adults. We make our decisions. Years ago, yeah, that's just the way it is. So I don't know. We have Garrett. We have enough tournaments this year where a good player who would be in the top 16, yeah, you're going to make some money. So,
So Lori John, first of all, I know you see the comments coming in. I just want to say thank you so much for coming. And, you know, the comments are the comments. Pool players, one thing they're really good at is complaining no matter
all the
what
time.
happens. So, and you know that. You've been in this game for a long, long time. I think the main argument that some people may have, just to put it out there and kind of get your feedback on it, is if the players commit to play in all the WPBA events, why do you care what else they do? How would that hurt your opportunities at the WPBA?
Because exactly what I said. When Dean, who's the president of the WPBA, goes to a lot of the casinos. He has a lot of dealings with casinos. When he goes and asks for any sponsorship for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 added to the women's event, but someone over here is dangling a carrot for $200 and all the girls go to that tournament. Why would I? I would be like, well, hell, I'm only going to add 3,000 to a tournament and I could get these players. It hurts us. We can't do that. The women can't. I'm sorry. That's just a fact. The women can't do that. And it's been proven. You know,
why would they want to go into the top
So,
16 then? Why would they want to go in? Why would they want to be a top 16 player? Like, what is it that they're getting additionally for being a top player from the WPBA?
To be able to have your guarantee, you know, you have your guarantee. If there's seating, you're seated in the tournaments. If there's 48, you have your bye. You know what I'm saying? You're guaranteed to make basically the top 16. You know, you're almost guaranteed to make your money back. You know, right, type thing.
But if I know I can play, then what's the point of what do I care about a seating if I know I can go and spar with anybody? Besides having a number next to my name, what else is there to go and get?
It doesn't matter. If you want to call yourself a great player, I'm a great player. I've been part of the WPBA forever. And I wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame today, either of them, if I didn't play on an actual tour. So it does matter. I won't get any invites to the WPA. I won't have the opportunity to possibly play in the Olympics. I'm not going to, probably because I'm just too old anyway. But I'm probably not going to, you're not going to have that opportunity. We are under it's the IOC and for the Olympics, then it's the WPA, the World Pool Association, then it's the BCA, and the WPBA comes underneath the WPA and the BCA. So it's, and I don't know, I can't read everything right now, but somebody said the Matchroom model. The Matchroom is great, but the Matchroom also has open events. Good luck. Good luck playing in an open event. Being a woman, I like having a women's tour. So I don't know. And I'm not. Again, it's not me. It's the WPBA. The WPBA has made really tough decisions in the past. I've called Ava, who was a past president. I've asked her a lot of questions. Vicky Paskey, I've asked them a lot of questions on what we need to do and, their suggestions for me or, on my vote or something. And I'm just going with it. So if it hurt, I don't know if it hurt, if it hurts someone, I'm sorry. But there's different, the girls can play. So Mike Panozzo he texted me before and asked me, about the European tour. The European tour is a professional tour in Europe. And yes, the girls can go and play on that tour. It is a separate tour, but it is also a professional tour. It's not like me living in Texas, playing in the Lone Star Tour in the women's division and robbing it or something of that nature.
But the Euro Tour is not a WPBA sanctioned event, right?
Excuse me?
The Euro Tour that you're referring to is not a WPBA sanctioned event.
No, it's not. It's not.
So then, because we don't have something more organized outside of the WPBA here in the States, then the American players essentially don't get that same that same luxury that the European players go and get, in a nutshell?
Well, if they want to, I am sure that if she would like to go over and live in I guess live in Europe for a while, you could possibly have her play. If players would like to do that, I don't know their technical rules. But I know that the WPBA has always had international players, and that's what makes we enjoy that. People like that. So,
At what point was the schedule announced for the WPBA for this year?
Like I said, I made an announcement that I said that at this point there were 8 tournaments definitely for next year. Didn't know the schedule though at that time. I knew some of them, not the whole entire thing. We were waiting for Predator on some of their dates. And then lo and behold, we had 2 more events that were added. So we have 10 events this year.
Yeah, but I guess my question would be, because as far as I understand, if the schedule was released, let's say January, but if some of these girls already had their own schedule figured out, why weren't some exemptions going and being made, considering that you barely announce it the first month of the year and then you give them a short window to go and decide, but meanwhile they've already had commitments leading up to preparing for the beginning of the year.
Certain players have been on the WPBA tour for long enough to understand that if there was a question, it would have taken 1 phone call, 1 email. Sorry.
What do you mean? Like, just as far as getting an answer when the dates are going to be, or
anything? Yes. How many tournaments do we have? What's going on? I had numerous people after that tournament. I had numerous people in November, December, or it was in November. It was in November. I had numerous people though, and in December, asked me what was going on. How or is it going to be? And I said, we are at 8 tournaments right now with 2 more possible, and we got the 2 more. So that's just what it is.
So is there any compromise from the WPBA side as far
to
as
anybody? No, not right now. And the WPBA will actually make a blanket statement. I'm not talking,
right.
The WPBA will make a statement and all the naysayers can go on there and, say whatever they would like. There's been one organization, again, there's been one WPBA and, and that's fine. And if Matchroom makes their own ladies tour, then that's fine. I mean, I have no, we'll deal with that when the time comes. And it is what it is, it just is what it is. If something big enough happened, people are throwing around Matchroom. Guys, I'm not Chris. I'm not talking about Matchroom. I'm not talking about what the IPT was. I'm talking about a $25 entrance fee to a tournament. I'm talking about a piddly tournament. I shouldn't want to play in that. Annika Sorenstam does not play in crappy little tournaments. She plays on the pro tour. And again, sorry that the money is not 100%, but that's how you get good sponsors. That's how you get your money. You make money because, that's what it is. You make money. I've made money my whole life being on the tour, playing on the WPBA and doing what, doing what I'm supposed to do. And then I get, I've been blessed to have wonderful sponsors, and yes,
Lori
I know Matchroom is inviting the women, which is great. But again, it's an open event. It's women playing against the men. So how do you think the women are going to fare there, making money? Not great, probably. I don't know.
So it seems like the position would be that by these ladies, let's say, playing in amateur events and competing against other ladies and winning those and snapping off a few hundred here or there, it somehow diminishes the stature of the WPBA. Should they be allowed to play on the WPBA? Is that what you're saying?
It diminishes our opportunity to go and ask the casinos for guaranteeing them the top players. These casinos, Northern Lights, Soaring Eagle, they want to know that they're special, that because they have added $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to our tournament, that we are going to show up for them, not for a $1,500 tournament. So, and yes, I do keep saying open tournaments, because open tournaments you can play in. So for me, if I want to play in the Lone Star men's event, I can. Just not an actual women's event. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry if you guys don't understand. It's just it's just the way it is. It's not me. It's the WPBA. I'm on the board. I understood it. More listening. You know, I don't know. It's just, you know, whatever.
Can I jump in and help LJ out here?
Yeah, you're up.
All right. You know, I see all the same posts too, and I think Lori John has tried to hammer it home, and I think that I agree with her 100% on this, and that is, they keep talking about the players' opportunities to make money, okay, and what they're missing is the players' opportunity to make money. And to me, that is, if you want to have a tour and you want to have something where you're going to call yourself a professional pool player, then you want to have a real tour, right? You want to have a tour that's got decent money to it and decent marketing around it. So that's what they're trying to build back up to again, like the days of the classic tour. To do that, like she said, you've got to get sponsors to put up $25,000, $35,000, $45,000, $50,000. If I'm a casino, your leverage in going to that casino is saying, I am going to deliver you the best players in the world. Okay. Now, if Joe down the street has a bar table tournament with 3,000 added and can say the same thing, that he's going to deliver those same people, what's the advantage to me as the casino? I get nothing out of this.
But that's not a guarantee.
So there's got to be back and forth. There's got to be some common sense middle ground on, okay, we have to organize to the point of making ourselves valuable. Okay. And playing everywhere in anything that adds $1,000 is not adding value to you as a player or you as an association or you as a tour. It's just not.
But you don't think those ladies going and traveling around, and let's say that they're wearing a WPBA patch, right? And they're playing all across the country, promoting that brand. You don't think it's going to go and lift the WPBA in the long run and grow their individual fan bases?
The WPBA, and I'm not talking about the player. I'm talking about the investor. Okay, if I was investing in the PGA Tour in $1 million tour stop, but every player could go play in, you know, a par 3 course down the street for 5,000 added the week before, and all the fans go flocking there because it's cheaper and easier. Why would I pay? So you have to look at it from what nobody's looking at it from. I'm not saying this is exclusively the argument, but you have to look at it from the investor's point of view. Okay, what am I getting out of putting $50,000 into a women's pool event? Okay, and again, the only leverage the women have is their talent and their organization. If you go shotgun spraying that all over the place, there's no value to it. So as me as an investor, there's no value in me doing business with you. And I'm having a hard time understanding how people who are like posting everything don't get that. I'm missing something clearly.
Hey, so let me just say this real quick. We can debate amongst ourselves, you know, for another 45 minutes, but let's give Lori John a chance to kind of close this out because she has a pro-am to get to. She's been gracious with her time. It's not easy to come on here and have people saying stuff. So I just want to give her an opportunity.
Read all the,
I know you are.
I get, so I'm reading like all the comments, yeah, and I don't have my reading glasses. You know,
and you're never supposed to read those comments, Lori John. If you're a professional, you're not supposed to read those. You know that.
You know what? I know. And you know what's funny is like, I get, so I told somebody, I said, you know, I know why I wasn't on the board years ago, because I really care. I really did. I cared about what people thought about me, you know, because you go through that little phase where you have to like, you know, everyone wants to like you. And like I'm in my 50s now, and I like it doesn't matter anymore. So my skin is a little bit thicker. You know, and yeah, I was going to say, one of the guys was like, oh, you got flustered before. And I did. And I was getting flustered because it was just completely, I don't know. Yeah. They're so widespread, you know, the tournaments that we're talking about, you know, and again, so here's something that might happen in the future. Because I hear people talking and I can't mention whatever, but anyway, I've heard about some things. So if something really big comes along, like really big for the women, and it's a good thing, the WPBA is going to, just like they did with the IPT, you know, they said, guys, if we ban them from, you know, making this kind of money, it's not going to be good. So they allowed it. You know what I mean? So if something big comes along, yeah, we're going to work with it. Just, I mean, that's where we are. So
but how can it ever grow if they're getting smothered from the beginning?
Huh?
How can it ever grow if they're getting smothered from the jump as far as the talent that's going to be available to go and attend? Like, it's never going to be allowed to blossom if you're saying, well, we're going to take our 16.
Look at who's playing at Northern Lights. Please don't tell me we don't have talent. And we have juniors here.
No,
we have
I'm not saying that.
We have little Kaylee. What's her name?
No, I didn't mean it like that. I'm
saying we have so much talent here. We have a lot of the junior players that are playing and that are coming up. And we just trust me. It's kind of like, if you build it, they will come. If we have more tournaments, they'll want to play. And that's the way that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get I'm a player. I just want to get tournaments. That's all. So.
Well, speaking of being a player, Lori John, we want to make sure you have time to play in your Pro-Am and kind of get set for the week. And we really appreciate you coming on. Wish you the best. You know, go out there and shoot your best this week.
Thank you.
And maybe we'll have you on soon and we'll chat some more about this.
Thank you. By the way, somebody said, what's big enough? What's big enough is probably 25,000 plus added. That's what our tournaments are this year. So that's it. So I don't know. I don't know how that's bad. Anyway.
It's
all right.
Not bad. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Lori John. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
See you, LJ.
Okay. That was interesting. Molina, she almost slapped you down.
You're gonna love that.
She was slapping you all over the place, Molina, Mike.
I don't know where to start from the last 28 minutes of my life. No,
I tell you, she brought up some good points, and Panozzo, you did too. Here's the thing that I'm struggling with, though. By these girls going and playing in amateur female events, as long as they're committing to playing in all the professional ladies' events, how does that hurt them? That's the part I don't understand.
I'm going to say the same thing that I said before. You guys are looking at it purely from the player's standpoint. And I understand that, because players are concerned about their livelihood, right? You have to also put on a hat of, I'm trying to organize professional tour for women to get a women's tournament level up to a certain standard. Okay. How do I do that? What's my leverage? What's my strength?
Your stars, Mike, your stars are your leverage, but there's no damn stars. Hold on a second. There's no stars if you're not promoting them, because the bottom line is, and the reality is, they do a terrible job of not only promoting their events, but promoting their players. So how are those stars going to be stars on their stage? That's what they want. They want them on their stage if they're doing a terrible job in that regard. By them going and playing, it's only going to build people's excitement to go and follow whoever the hell it is. And I'm not just saying it in regards to April. The ladies, if I'm in an area and if I see these top ladies go and, for lack of a better word, go and kill it out there, I'm going to want to follow their career. I'm going to want to follow and see how they're doing. I follow a lot of things about pool, Mike, a lot of things. I don't even know where the hell the damn bracket is. And I go to the WPBA Facebook page, the website, this is ESPN, but I can't even find it on there, Mike. Their bracket for their event. on their social medias, on their website.
Not arguing with you on that. Not arguing with you on that at all. They've got a lot of work to do. They've got a lot of catching up to do. But you have to start someplace, and you may have to make some tough decisions when you start that to say, okay, what are the key elements we need to start building this up? Should they have better marketing? Yeah. Should they have better promotion? Yeah. Should they? But this, if you look back at, I was around when the Classic Tour got launched, and they had the same struggles back then, and they had to put down their foot the same way and kind of band everybody together and say, listen, this is the way we grow this. And they grew that into a dozen years of 10 to 15 events a year with good money, and they had good marketing, and they had good publicity and whatever. So in the last 8-10 years, it's bottomed out. No doubt about it. So you're starting from zero again. They don't have money for marketing right now. They don't have a big budget for whatever, but it's things that they know.
If they got a board and with 10 or so people and nobody's making a damn Facebook post with the brackets, someone's dropping the ball. I mean, that's the bottom line. Like,
won't argue with you about that, but I don't
these are the ones that are going and making the decisions also, Mike. That's the part that's crazy to me.
So I want to be real careful not to bash this organization, because the fact of the matter is, what would we do to have a men's professional tour right now? You know what I mean? I mean, we have a few different things cooking, right? But they have a tour. Okay, so let's not bash them. But at the same time, here's a question I have. I remember back playing on the Planet Pool Tour on the East Coast, Karen Corr would come through. She'd play in those events. She'd play in the Joss events. Is this a new phenomenon, Mike Panozzo? Because how is Karen Corr allowed to play in all these different regional, women's events and do well in those?
Those were open events. She was playing the men. She was playing the Joss Tour, men's tour. She was playing men. Any women can go do that right now.
Okay.
No problem. So it's not a women's.
You can play with everyone. You just can't play amongst yourselves. Makes a lot of sense.
No, I don't get it. To me, again, it comes down to, do you want to call yourself a professional pool player or not?
I get it, Mike.
April Larson is not playing in Minnesota.
People gotta go and work together in infancy, though, Mike. You can't. You have to go and grow with each other by isolating whoever the hell it may be, or handcuffing these. Pool's already tough enough as it is. Even if they go and play every women's event across the country, it's already going to be difficult enough for them to go and make a living. But on top of that, then you're only saying, since you're so good, you can only play in these 10 events. Have faith in us, right? And if you're lucky, you'll get to the top 4 and break even, right? Maybe you'll go and make a little bit of money if you go above that. But you played too good, so now we want to go and keep you in a bubble over here.
Well, Jennifer brought it up before. It's about exclusivity, right? It's about exclusivity. They talk to the casinos and they say that we can guarantee you that not only are these girls going to be the top girls and they're going to be at your event, but they will not be at anything other than this level of event. And I just think that's missing the mark, because I don't think it takes anything away by them going and winning, the South Texas Women's Open or whatever the heck it is. In no way does that diminish the WPBA, in my view. I don't see how you can make an argument for that.
And then they're saying that a dollar amount will go and make you prestigious. Listen, if I'm gonna go and have $20,000 to go and spend, why would I want to go and throw it at a group that's trying to go and make it tough, like as far as opening the field as wide as possible? Why would I want to go and work with them if that's my money? I don't understand it.
Yeah, opening the field as wide as possible. You're talking about 16 players.
Yeah, but if they're saying that's the best of the best, Mike, they're saying that they're only gonna be able to play over here. But the pool is so wide open, Mike. Pool is so wide open, and she basically said that in a nutshell that, well, we can't go and compete with the men, and good luck. So we're trying to go and keep ourselves organized over here and separate. Like, for the life of me, I don't understand.
Well, okay, let me put it this way then, from that standpoint, and I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but
for sure, Mike.
The men don't have a tour. The men don't have any organization. You can look at a tournament this weekend, and Shane's fishing, and Sky's playing in a tournament over here, and Billy's playing in a tournament over here, and this guy's playing in a tournament over here.
I gave Mike the boot.
What happened?
he was
I just
making
showed
too
a
many.
comment and he flew
he
out
was-
of here. Oh, he's back. I don't know.
He was,
What the,
he
I
was
don't know
making,
what the happened there.
you were making too many good points. You were making too many good points, Mike. I had to get you the hell out of here.
You guys almost caught a break there. But no, so you've got these guys playing all over the place. Is that building the big name you're talking about, Mike? Is that making these guys household names? Is that making people drive around the country to see these guys play? They're all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason to men's professional pool in the U.S. and it shows.
Okay, no. Now you make a valid point, Mike. But listen, there's events going on. Let's say at least every weekend somewhere across the country for like the bigger names, right? Maybe like the Shane McMinns and Josh Roberts of the world, and these guys to go and play in decent money bar table events or whatever the hell it may be. And I get it, Mike, but you got 10 events. And in years past, they were lucky to go and have one, Mike. You got 10 events. They cannot go and crack a living with that amount of events.
Look, I think Lee Vestal brings up a really good point. I think he brings up a really good point, and it's about the female players going and playing in local tournaments or smaller tournaments and interacting with other people who kind of idolize them. You know, I mean, that's not going to happen now. You know, you're not going to be able to see a top women's player go and play in the women's division of a regional event now.
That doesn't mean if I'm her sponsor, I'm not going to send her there. That doesn't mean if I'm her sponsor, I'm not going to say, go do an exhibition. That doesn't mean if I'm her sponsor, I'm not going to say, let's go set something up with the guy at the room and do challenge matches and sign autographs. Now you look bigger than the players who are in that $300 added tournament. You don't look like you're just in there robbing somebody to make an extra $50 for the week or whatever it is. So if you want to find ways to market the women and you're their sponsor and you want them to go to these events, have at it. Do it. There's tons of ways to grow the sport, to make yourself look big, to make the pros look good. I mean, to me, if April Larson went to an event for whoever her sponsor is, and they had an autograph signing thing, and she did challenge matches and did an exhibition, to me, far more valuable to me and far more professional for her to do that than to play the event and win.
Let me ask you a question, Mike. Okay. Where can I watch this super prestigious professional women's event this weekend?
Live stream? I mean, I don't.
Oh, but the casinos are getting their money's worth there, aren't they? Right? I mean, this is crazy, Mike. This is absolutely. I think fundamentally, I agree with your premise.
I was waiting for you to pick up your mic and just drop it and leave after that. Mic drop.
You know, like I mean, if I
well, wait a second. Are you opposed to the Predator Tour doing all their events free live stream to try to get people who don't always watch pool, who aren't going to pay $19 for DAZN because they don't necessarily know enough about pool or whatever, but they're interested in it? Are you saying that that's a bad idea?
No.
Okay, but I don't think it's one of the same.
So if the women have a free live stream for their events, how is that hurting the casino's investment?
I'm not saying that, but my point is nobody knows. Nobody knows where
he's saying. He doesn't know where the live stream is.
I'm saying from the casino standpoint, from the investor standpoint, they're getting their money's worth there from the promotional side of it.
100%. And then it's up to the casino to say, wait a second, this is the value you promised me and I didn't get it. So next year, if you want money from me, you better have this splashed all over the place. So now they're going to take some of the money that they make or some of the money, and they're going to invest it in marketing, and they're going to invest it in a better stream, they're going to invest it in whatever it is. But that still, to me, that to me is a completely separate issue from how you organize your tour to try to get back to some level of strength.
I just meant it like in the professional. The investor standpoint, which was the argument you were making.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because fundamentally that's your point. And while I respect it, that's the other side of it, is that are they getting their values worth on that end? And if they're not,
you could say that for any event that's out there in pool right now and ask if an investor is getting their money out of social media or the viewership.
Those piddly-wink or whatever the hell they called it events that they're over there dogging for lack of a better word, you can go and find out all the information about it. You can go and find out the brackets. You can go and find the players list. You can go and find everything. I know where to go and watch it, how often I'm going to be able to watch it, how many matches a day I'm going to be able to watch it. I know all of that stuff for those quote unquote unprofessional events. But yet the professional ones, I don't. Come sign up.
Yeah, no argument. No
Yeah,
argument.
maybe I guess what Molina's saying is maybe if the energy that's being spent limiting what these female pros can play in was spent towards marketing the events and really, having a presence online and getting people excited about it. Marketing in general. Look, Dominic Dunn played Andrew Cleary in Florida, made that one of like the biggest events of the year. Those guys can't make 2 balls in a row.
No argument. No argument. No argument on where they fall short. No argument on where they fall short as far as marketing and promotion goes. Not even gonna try to make an argument there. But to me, that's a completely separate argument than the fundamental thing we're talking about with how do you protect what you think you've got as a strength and help build a tour. Okay, they're going to have to start from scratch again because they lost all those years, and they're not going to have much budget to go by right now. But you still try to set your ground rules. You still try to set your rules. You still try to stick to them, and you build from there every step along the way. And I think the men in the U.S. need to do the same thing. This is not, because I'll tell you what's going to happen with the men is the promoters are going to make them sign stuff. They're not even going to have their own organization. The promoters are going to make them sign stuff saying, you play in our events and not these, because the men are that unorganized. So I don't blame the women, and I don't begrudge the women coming up with their own idea on how to rebuild a successful tour. Okay, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take steps. Some of them are going to be tough. You got to make big girl decisions, and that's what you make them. April made her decision. Okay, she made her decision to stick with the person who's paying her rent, and that's fine. But again, to me, a lot of it comes down to, do we want professional sports? Do we want pool to be a professional sport? You've got to set some parameters if you want to be a professional sport.
So Panozzo.
Don't call yourself a professional pool player if it's all about bar table tournaments in Spokane, at $1,000.
You're gonna piss off a lot of people that watch.
Okay, so hold on, Panozzo. Let's suppose tomorrow.
It's no big deal.
Panozzo, let's suppose tomorrow Matchroom or CSI or one of those that are running their own series of events now said that the men can only play in those events, and if they choose to play in other events, then they're basically not welcome on their tour. Would you support that?
We saw it because there was wording in, I think it was 2
The
years
US
ago,
Opens.
the
Yeah.
US Open. You could not play in a US Open. And then we got clarification.
I mean, would you support that,
US
Mike?
Open 9-ball.
Yeah.
Because
I support it?
Yeah, I mean, would you feel like it would be better for the sport that if you didn't turn on the Texas Open and see Shane Van Boening and all the top players in the United States, Guy Woodward, Billy Thorpe, those guys, because now they're being handcuffed by Matchroom or CSI? Would you be?
So, I would be. It would be disappointing to me that, because now you're talking about two tours that are on pretty good levels in terms of added money for the pros. Okay, we're not talking about a $25,000 added against a $3,000 added, which is our discussion with the women. Okay, so you're talking about two pro tours and people having to make a decision between one or the other. That would just be a damn shame. And you shouldn't be able to do that unless you can promise people a pretty decent income out of it. And is WPBA there? The obvious question is, well, WPBA is not promising a living for these people. No, but it's a start. It's a start in the right direction. And you make some decisions. And do you want to help us try to build a professional sport or not? Make your choice. April made her choice, and that's fine.
I don't think did you really answer my question though? Because let's just take one of them.
I would be disappointed. Do I think it would be right or wrong? I think it would be, that's a really tough one because
you're taking the position right now that the WPBA is justified in what they're doing, and that's what they need to do to establish
I think
the professionalism that they need. Let's say that CSI. who has the US Pro Billiards Series, let's say that CSI now says that unless it's a Matchroom or a WPA event, pro players cannot go and play in Texas Open or this Triple Crown thing they just did in Florida or the big events in Iron City in Alabama.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be good for the sport?
No, probably not. But I think it's apples and oranges because one is a promoter and one's a players association. Okay, I'm always going to back a players association trying to do what it think it's best to grow the sport and to grow their players group. Okay, now if you're talking about a promoter doing it, that's purely selfish reasons. Okay, that to me, so then you get into, to me, it's apples and oranges.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm glad I asked that question because now I kind of understand.
I'm glad you gave me time to come up with an answer.
But no, it makes more sense to me now because we said that's what's missing from men's pool for a long time, and even the promoters will say that there's no players association, there's no unity there.
And that's why you can strong arm them, and that's why the women are saying here, we're going to try to build an association of women professional players and try to make things best for ourselves with our own rules. So either come along or don't come along. And again, if it's a promoter, it's a different thing. It's I'm going to put a gun to your head and say, you have to play it my way or go home. And I think it's different.
I think one of the tough
still have
things,
livelihoods.
I'm sorry?
Think livelihood. They still have to go and make a living. They got to pay bills.
Yeah, of course.
I think one of the really tough things for the WPBA through this, I know Lori John couldn't talk specifically about players, but the fact that this was April, I mean, I can't think of a young female player that's more respected than April Larson. And now that she's on the Matchroom stage, she's being invited to Matchroom events. You don't find a person who doesn't like April Larson. And the fact that this has now happened to her and she's been made kind of like the poster child for this particular situation, I don't think it's a good look for the WPBA. I think, that's
they could have compromised.
I'm on record very publicly as being a huge April Larson fan. Okay. She had a decision to make. She made her decision. Is it a shame that it's her? Yeah, but it's also only her. Anybody else who didn't sign this? So, and why did she sign it? She's got obligations to someone that brought her in to live in their area. Okay, fine. Were there compromises? Could there have been compromises there? Yeah, absolutely. When I spoke to Lori John, she talked to April, said, let me talk to your sponsors. We can, let's see what we can figure out. There was no response to that. So, and as I said before, what would have been, the easiest sell to me would have been to tell the sponsors, send her to all those events. Just don't have her playing them. Send her with posters to sign. Send her to do challenge matches. I still think they'd have gotten more mileage out of that and made her more like a professional by doing that than by having her go play and win the $800 top prize.
Hell no.
I've never seen Molina so wired.
Wait, he's going tilt. Let him go.
He's on full tilt.
Here's the thing, man. The women had faith in that organization through the years of just being mediocre, for lack of a better word. The one event a year, the two events a year. Stick with us. We're gonna weather the storm. We're gonna come through it. We're gonna go and get through it together, and it's gonna come out better on the other side of it. Now the fact that the girl go and planned out something for the next 6 months, why not? It basically, when she said we'll go back to the sponsors and talk, what the hell is there to talk about when they're not compromising? The compromise would have been go and fulfill it, live up to your obligations, and you know what's expected next year.
That's
right. And be ready for it. That would have been the middle ground here, Mike. But they're going and digging their heels in and saying, "Nah, we ain't doing it. It's my way or it's the highway."
Again, I don't know how much gun was stuck to each person's head. So I don't know if there was, let me talk to these people and let's see if there's a compromise, or whether it was no, F you, there is no compromise. Go take your ball and go home. It's all this again.
Lori John said it herself. I mean, she said point blank, there was no exemptions going.
No, there was going to be no exception. But I mean, could they have talked to him and found out some other way to do it with her sponsors? Like I said, I think they were trying to look for ways like exhibitions or whatever to fulfill some obligation. But is the obligation to the so great to April's investors or her her pool room that she has to play this event and beat everybody to a pulp and win her $800 for 3 events or 4 events or whatever? Were they willing? It doesn't sound like they were willing to compromise either. So they both dug in their heels, or they both didn't bother talking about it, or whatever.
Why the hell would I want to compromise with someone that's coming back to me negotiating, saying we ain't moving? I mean, that's the end of the conversation.
Well, I don't know if it doesn't sound like they ever talked to each other. So nobody said anything to each other. I mean, it doesn't sound like, Lori John ever talked to her sponsors, and her sponsors ever talked to the WPBA board. It was a decision that was made. April and her father and her sponsors talked, and that was the end of the game. So, I'm not blaming either side for how the decision got made. I just think that, I just think that April made the wrong decision because no one else did the same thing. I mean, everybody else understood it and went along with it, and they understand it, and they're going to play on.
Well, but a lot of those players, like if you look at the Europeans that are in there, they can always run off to Europe and play in women's events. They have opportunity over there.
How many women's events does Kelly Fisher playing in Europe?
I don't know, but she has that available to her.
Almost 0. She's got available. But
she's probably going to win this event this weekend.
She's not a bar table tournament in Essex.
Yeah, but okay. I think the big point, Mike threw this out there to Lori John. It probably wasn't fair because I doubt that she was the one that set the schedule. But the schedule was released so late. People already had their plans for the year, and that part of it, I think, is why there should have been room for compromise this year.
Could be. I also know that as of like November of last year, most of every player who's WPBA player knew that there were going to be probably at least 8 events this year. Were there stipulations set in? Were there dates set yet? Probably not. But they knew this was coming. This isn't like all of a sudden, the shoe dropped that one day and it's like, oh my God, we got 10 tournaments this year. What am I going to do? I've already got 6 things scheduled. I don't buy that either.
That event, none of their events in no way was ever going to be more watered down because she goes and wins the Texas Open, or she goes and wins Scotty Townsend, or she goes and wins an event in Florida. That WPBA event is in no way, shape, or form going to be watered down. You know what's going to happen, Mike, is that all those fans that were there in Texas that watched that event, all those fans who were in Louisiana who watched that event, all those fans who were in Florida and watched that event, you know what they're going to do? They're gonna tune in and watch the girl go and snap off another one, or at least make a hell of a run
fans
in doing so. Absolutely, they're gonna become fans.
Could be, but now if all top 16 players did the same thing, then what?
Listen,
no change.
You
can't go and have a show without stars.
Yeah, your top 16 playing 16 different events this weekend all over the U.S. And how does that not water down what they're trying to do?
I just don't see it.
Say that again.
The men are doing that now. I just don't see it. It's not going to water down the World 10 ball. It's not going to water down the Diamond Las Vegas Open.
The men are a different animal. And I think
I don't know.
I mean, if the men were organized, it would be great. But I don't think in the long run I wouldn't be mad if the guys who attended just regional events kept on doing that. Like that wouldn't bother me. But then I wouldn't seclude them from going and playing in open events either. These open events for these other girls, these girls who are like professional players, right? Like it helps them pay the bills. It helps them stay afloat. It helps them pay their card note. It helps them pay electricity. It helps them have food and gas. In the car. So if in pool's already so difficult as it is for anybody to go and make a living, and that's even on the men's side of it. And then you want to go and say, no, you can't go and do that anymore.
And I think more importantly, Mike, I think if April Larson came to Phoenix, Arizona this weekend and competed in a women's event and did well, which she would, I think she would increase her brand and increase her fan base. And so then when she went to play in the next WPBA event, if the stream was available, we found the stream, people would be rooting for her.
She could be wearing a WPBA patch the entire time and let everybody know and promote the hell out of that event like she promotes everything else. Follow any...
Since she probably doesn't have anything to worry about. She's going to do great. She's going to play in a bunch of events. She's going to win them. She's going to be everybody's darling. She's going to have 6 million social media followers. And she doesn't have to play in the WPBA event against Kelly Fisher. It's good for her, too.
Well, I mean, yeah, but still, Mike, that ain't the point.
I mean, so really, I don't know what the hell she's
No,
complaining
What's
about.
happening
She's
here?
not. Wait,
She just got
she's
the
not.
deal
Wait for the
today.
sec. She's not complaining. She's just going and addressing the elephant in the room, because it's better to go and take it head on versus going and getting 18 different, 1,800 different messages in Facebook about it. She's at least going and taking the bull by the horns.
Hey, look, during all this, when we were talking about the WPBA and their marketing and stuff, I went to the site. Lori John commented, like, you can go to the site, it's up there. And so you go and you click on the event, and there's no information about live stream. It's just get tickets, right? Which is fine, but they can do so much more with this, right?
No doubt.
To where
No,
we can see the stream, we can see the brackets, we can see how they're progressing. I mean, for me, I really think that the opportunity to grow the women's sport is through stuff like this and not through exclusivity. That's just my feeling about it. I don't think I'll ever change. I probably won't convince you, Panozzo.
No. Listen, hey, I'm not for exclusivity. I'm not. Believe me, I've fought a lot of battles where I'm like, when they were trying to strong arm players a couple of years ago, I'm always going to come out on behalf of the players. But again, to me, I'm trying to put my hat on of, okay, I'm a woman who wants my sport to be a professional sport, and I want to be in an association, so no promoter is telling me what I got to do. And we're going to get together in an association, and as a group of like-minded players, we're going to come up with some rules. Okay? You have 400 players, 200 players, 50 players, 20, it doesn't matter. 30% of them aren't going to like what you decide anyways. But as a group, you come together.
Especially pool players.
You try to, well, it's in any organization, any kind of, you're going to have to come together and try to make some rules and think as hard as you can about what's the best way to get you guys to go forward again. All right. And then you got to stick to those rules. Is everybody going to like them? No. Are they always going to be fair? No. But it's going to be your organization. You're going to make your own decisions. Okay. Again, unlike the men who are going to have guys with money put guns to their head and tell them where to go when for the rest of their lives. They have no control. So it's just two different philosophies of how
they're big boys too, Mike. They're big boys. They're big boys, just like the girls are big girls.
Yeah,
they can
making their own decisions.
They can make their own decisions. Yeah, for sure.
Well, they're getting together in Las Vegas, the World 10 Ball, to have a meeting about a players union. Okay, so they understand what the reality of the
Can we live stream that? Can we live stream that, Panozzo?
Should we live? You guys will be there. Knock yourselves out.
The Doggin it players union discussion. I love it. Let's do it.
That's right. So so they understand the value of being unified too. They've just never been able to do it and hold on to it for more than 6 months. Okay, because they're all mercenaries. So it's just different philosophies of how you try to grow your part of the game, and this is what the women are trying to do. So I'll back them to the point of saying, okay, let's see what you can come up with. It's not going to be always great. It's not going to be always pretty, but I think you've got the best interests of everybody at heart as a whole. Again, it's not going to appease everybody, but give it a shot. Let's see if you can get back to where you were in the 90s, because it was fantastic. They were 10 times more organized, had 10 times better marketing, and had 10 times more exposure than the men, and couldn't play half as good.
But what else you had, Mike?
They've done it right. They've done it right before, and I'm going to give them a chance to try to do it right again.
They had a lot of stars back then, a lot of big names, Mike, back then. The Jeanette Lees of the world.
Well, you know how they built those. They built those big names on ESPN, not at Joe's $50 added entry fee in the bar table tournament down the street.
Well, listen, when I went to Joe's $50 entry fee tournament, you know who I saw there? A picture of Jeanette Lee.
A picture of
on the Budweiser advertisement there. That's what I seen.
She probably went there to do exhibitions.
Hey, so Molina, I know you said you couldn't find the bracket, but you're Molina Mike. You must have found the bracket somewhere.
I can, but that's not the point, man. I'm trying.
Why don't we
argument or position by me saying, "Oh yeah, I got it right here." Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Why? I mean, let's talk about the event. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, let's see. If they're seated, which I believe they are, then I I like Kelly Fisher or Jasmine Ocean. I think they'll probably end up meeting in the finals, would be my guess, because I think they're the two best players out of all those females out there. I think both of them, for that matter, can go and compete with men. We saw Jasmine go and lose in that Predator event to two very capable men, and both of them were in shootouts. We saw Kelly go and make a great run at the World Championships last year, taking down Jeff DeLuna. So I love the idea of women going and competing against the men. But I like them two to go and be number one, number two, and probably Allison in the semifinals would be my guess. But they have all these names they built back in the in the 90s, like Mike says. But if you're not letting them go and compete for whatever reason, you're not going to have names. You're not going to have those same stars. I remember when the UFC had the Chuck Liddells and the Tito Ortizes of the world, and they were scrambling whenever they retired, right? They were scrambling to go and make these new stars of sport. We see it in basketball when Michael Jordan left, or in baseball when we saw McGuire go and leave. I mean, you can pick a sport and say that those organizations were petrified when those stars went and left, but you got someone who's just is a beam of light, and you're keeping them and you're keeping them under the pillow. Anyway, I get both sides to an extent. I respect everybody, but we can agree to disagree on this one, Panozzo. But
I love that. That's what these are. Sure.
This was fun.
The best. If we agreed on everything, it'd be the most boring freaking podcast in the history of the world.
Yeah, this was not boring. This was fun. This was fun. I think if Lori John is in Vegas and she sees Molina Mike, she might slap him upside the head. And I'll try to get that on video for everyone. That'd be fun.
I'm sure I'll get a text message tonight about this whole interaction, so it's going to be wonderful. I'm looking
forward. Hey, anything else that we need to touch on, guys, before we call it a show?
No. I hope they do a good job of promoting it on social media, so that way people can go and watch it, and the women who are in there are going to be celebrated, and you can go and tune into their matches and follow them, because I'm not going to go and say, like some of these other, idiots around the world, whenever they don't get their way, boycott it and don't watch. No. I still want to go and support it and watch it, and hopefully we know who the winner is and where you can go and watch it. So,
and I think I love how you bash their website and their marketing and their lack of organization there. I think they need to hear that now, because they need to know that's if you're going to try to sell this, you got to do a better job of that. So I would like to see that they, by the next time we talk, they've got all that stuff squared away, and we can watch all their matches and follow their brackets and whatever, because they're still the best women players in the world. And I want to watch them play, and I want to see good competition. So, I hope that they pull their act together like that, for sure.
Yep.
Well, it's never, I'm never one to shy away from a bold prediction. So I have a friend of mine who's actually competing out there. I'm actually going to show this right now. Can you guys read that? Can you see that first round matchup?
Jay Suko and Jasmine Ocean.
Yeah, I'm going to take Jay in that one for the big upset. My friend out here in Arizona, she's going to go get it. She's been playing well. She's a lot of fun. She loves playing. She loves playing pool. I'm going to say that she's going to step up and pull off a huge upset. And you guys are going to be like, Joey, I can't believe you. You're like Nostradamus. What are you doing here?
You want to put your money where your mouth is?
I'll take 20-1 on it.
If that's your call, then I guess I'm going to have to take Kelly Isaac in her first round match against Kelly Fisher.
I love Kelly in that match. I love Kelly. Kelly's going to win.
And then Molina, you can take Joanne Mason Parker is playing Lori John Oganowski Brown in the first round. Who do you like?
Well, that's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Say that 10 times.
Yeah, no kidding. No, this is fun. And I mean, I say it fun, but I like that we're able to go and have these discussions respectfully. And, we appreciate Lori John for coming on. I reached out to the WPBA via Facebook Messenger. They got back to me within a couple of hours. I reached out to WPBA in email. They got back to me within a few hours. So the communication has been great. I like that how, she's just ballsy and just kind of like, I'm I'm in it. I'm game to go and answer whatever you guys want to go and ask me. We do know, right, Mike, that they're going to have a release coming out in the next whatever.
Yeah, I
week
think
or
they're
so.
going to make a statement because there's been a lot of activity on this, obviously. So they're going to try to,
Because
you know,
it's
get together.
April. They picked the wrong one. Told you.
Well, you know what? Again, I love April, but the post, you know, okay, it was
We'll
what
leave it. We'll leave it there.
All right.
Joey, thanks for coming on the show, buddy. We appreciate you being our special
Yeah,
guest.
well, I mean, you actually invited me tonight. I don't know what happened the other night. I get a Facebook like notification, and it's like, oh, Pool Player Podcast is live, and I look down, and it's you two clowns. Like I didn't even get an invitation.
I tell you
The
what,
water's always warm, buddy.
All right, guys. Well, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. Folks, thanks for all the comments. Really appreciate it. I thought you guys were, pretty fair with Lori John, although you definitely stated your opinion. That's what we want on here. That's why we keep the comments up. She was getting a little flustered by him when it kept popping up.
Well,
But,
you don't want to get LJ hot.
Yeah, but that's one thing we want to do on here. We want to take your comments. We want to, try to highlight them, try to read them off as much as possible. So, guys, keep tuning in. We're going to keep bringing you the content. Next week, we're all going to be out in Las Vegas while Mike and I are. Not sure about Panozzo. But if he's out there, we're going to get him in the booth with us, put a microphone in front of him, and give you guys all the coverage out there at the CSI Expo. I'm really excited about it. I'm taking off of work for, 12 days, Mike? And we're just going to have a blast.
Absolutely. We'll look forward to it. And thanks for everybody for tuning in. And thanks to Panozzo, as always, for joining us.